Okay, Shalom Yasharala, we're back. We're going to proceed now, going to Leviticus 23. But first, we're going to do Leviticus 22 in the Hebrew, as we did Leviticus 23 in the Hebrew already. But if we finish reading Leviticus 22 in the Hebrew, we're then going to go into Leviticus 23 in the English. So this is Leviticus 22 and verse 1. Thanks for giving me the heads up last time. So I went through the whole chapter, nobody said nothing. But anyway, kind of like at the end, it was like, oh, you're reading that? So Leviticus 22 and verse 1.
And I was listening to the words, try to follow along the words in Hebrew with the verses saying.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I heard kahan, but it's not kahan in this verse.
Yeah, so Leviticus 22 and 1. Let me know when you have it. You have Leviticus 22 in the Hebrew? Yeah, come. So Leviticus 22 and 1 reads, Waya Dabar Yahweh al Masha la Amar, verse 2. Dabar al Aharam wa al Banyawa wa Yanazar wa Makwadashia Banya Yasharala wa La'a Yakhalolwa af Sham Kodashia Ashara Ham Makwadashim Leya Anya Yahweh. 3. Amar Alham La Darathiakam Kol Ashara Salak Ayash Ashara Yakorab Makol Zaraikam Ol Ha Kodashim Ashara Yakoriyashwa Banya Yashara La Yahweh Wata Watamaaf wa Alyawa wa Nakaratha Anapash Hahawa Ma La Panya Anya Yahweh. 4. Ayash Zaraiwa Salak Ma Zarai Aharan Wahawa Tazarawai or Zab Ba Kodashim Ba'a Yakol Aid Ashara Yatahar Waha Nagai Bakol Tama Napash or Ayash Ashara Tataza'a Mamnawa Shakabath Zarai. 5. Or Ayash Ashara Yagai Bakol Sharataz Ashara Yatama'a Lawa or Ba Adam Ashara Yatama Lawa Bakol Tama'afwa. 6. Napash Ashara Thagai Bawa Watama Aid Arab Wala'a Yakol Man Hakwadashim Kaya Rakhataz Basharwa Ba Mayam. 7. Waba Ashamash wa Tahar wa Akhar Yakol Man Hakwadashim Kaya Bakhamwa Hawa'a. 8. Nabala wa Tarapa La'a Yakol La Tama Ha Baha Anya Yahweh. 9. Wa Shamar wa Af Mashamarathya Wala'a Yasha'ar Alyawa Khata'a wa Mathwa Bawa Kaya Yakhalol Wakalo Hawa Anya Yahweh Makwadashma. 10. Wakol Zar La'a Yakol Kodash Thawshab Kahan wa Shakaryaka Salat Shakayar La'a Yakol Kodash. 11. Wa Kahan Kaya Kwana Napash Kwanayan Kasapwa Hawa Yakol Bawa Waya Salat Wa Yaya Salat Jesus Wa Yalayad Bayathwa Hum Yakol Ba Lachamwa is bread. In English is meat, is bread. 12. Wabath Kahan Kaya Thahaya Thahaya Laayash Zar Hawa'a Ba Tharawamath Ha Kodashim La'a Thako. 13. Wabath Kahan Kaya Thahaya Alamanha Wa Garawasha Wa Zarai Ayan Laha, rather, Laha to her. Wa Shaba O Bayath Abiyaha Wa 14. Waya San Ath Ha Kodash. 15. Chowa Ath Kodashia Ban Ashara Yarayam Wa Layahawa. 16. Waha Sha Wa Hashiyawa Autumn, or rather Owathma I1 Ashama Kolma Af Kodash Kodashyaham Kaya Anya Yahawa Makodashma. 17. Waya Dabar Yahawa al Masha La Amar. 18. Dabar al Aharan wa al Banyawa wa al Kol Banyashar Allah wa Amata Alham Ayash Ma Bayath Yashar Allah wa Man Hagar Ba Yashar Allah Ashara Yakoriyab wa Kwarabanwa Lako Nadariyaham wa Lako Yakoriyam affection. What was it? Yeah. Ba Kashabyam wa Ba Azium. 20. Kol Ashara Bawa Abwa Kaya La Rataza 1. Yahya Lakam. 21. Wa Ya'ash Kaya Yakoriyab Zabak Shalamyum La Yahweh La Pala'a Nadar or Thamyam Yahya La Ratazawan. Should be back on. Try to refresh. Make sure I pop up.
All right. The refresh number is what?
All right.
So
So
5.
so verse 29 again.
The water. Okay.
All right. Sorry for folks watching on the live stream. So we're in Leviticus 22 and 29 in the Hebrew because we switched the Hebrew. As far as I read 23 earlier by accident. I thought we were doing 23 and 24, but we're doing 22 in the Hebrew. We're going to do 23 in the English since I already read 23 in the Hebrew. So Leviticus 22 and 29 by Abaria, Ra'ash 1. So Leviticus 22 and 29, let's just say, Wakaya, Zabakwa, Zabak, Thawa, Thawatha, La Yahweh, La Rataza, La Ratazankam, Tha Zabakwa. 30. Ba Yawam, Hawa'a, Yakola'a, Thawa, Thawathiyawa, Mannawa, Aid, Bakor, Anya Yahweh. 31. Wa Shamatam, Matazawatya, Wa Aisha, Wa Aishatham, Atham, Anya Yahweh. 32. Wala'a, Thachalowa, Af Sham, Kodashia, Wa Nakwadashaf, Ya, Ba Thawak, Banya Yasher Allah, Anya Yahweh, Makwadashkam. 33. Ha Ma Watazaya, Afkam Marataza Matazariam, La Hayawath, Lacham, La Alahayam, Anya Yahweh. Missed everything. Sorry. So this is Leviticus 23 now in the English. Let's see, 14:30. Start around 14. Okay. So now, Leviticus 23, the High Holy chapter. I have a number of links. I'm just going to try to pull key ones so we just don't go too long. Because many links you can pull. into the Wi-Fi here. I'm just refresh. Should be back up. Should be back up though. So yeah, for folks that just dialed in, just do a refresh on your browser. I should be back. That's all that it's timed down. So to link with 23 and 3, Exodus chapter 20, verse 8 through 11, part of the Ten Commandments, right? Exodus chapter 20, verse 8 through 11. Also, you can write this down. So along with Exodus chapter 20, verse 8 through 11, you could also write down Deuteronomy chapter 5, verses 12 to 15. Ten Commandments in Deuteronomy. And then you could also write down Numbers chapter 28. Numbers 28, you write down verses 9 to 10. Which Numbers 28 and 29, I'm going to pull those verses. Those show the different offerings that were done on those high holy days. Yeah. We could be here till 6 going to every single Sabbath verse. Right?
6.
That's me going fast.
Oh, the Sabbath verse.
Yeah, this verse with the Sabbath day. So it's like so many verses with the Sabbath. Crazy. Not crazy, but it's just a lot. So verse 4 now, these are the feast of Yahweh, even holy convocations which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. Right? So these are the major feasts. It says, verse 5, in the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover. Right? So the 14th day of the first month at even, when the sun goes down, is the Lord's Passover. So with verse 5, I'm going to read down to 8, and I'll just give you some links to deal with the Passover, along with the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Verse 6, it says, on the 15th day of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread unto Yahweh. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. And the first day ye shall have an holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. Ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh 7 days. And the 7th day is an holy convocation, another gathering. You should do no servile work therein. So the first and last day of this feast are considered like a Sabbath. We should not supposed to do any servile work, or like either work for hire or work around the house. But to link with these, you just write down Exodus chapter 12. So Exodus 12, verse 6. If you already have it written down, of course, don't write it twice. And if you went over it this week. Exodus 12 and 6, also Exodus 11 to 20. Exodus 12, 11 to 20. We go Exodus 12 and 6. Also, you can write down Exodus 13, verses 5 to 10. Exodus 13, 5 to 10. Exodus 23 and 13. Exodus 23 and 13. Sorry, 23 and 15. Sorry about that. Exodus 23 and 15. Also, Exodus 34, 18 to 20. And you could also write down Numbers chapter 9, verses 1 through 5. Numbers chapter 9, verses 1 to 5. That goes into keeping Passover in the second year, as we did at times. Sorry, the second month, in case you were unclean the first month. And then the offerings for the Passover you can read about in Numbers 28, 16 through 25. Numbers 28, 16 through to 25. And one more for in the law of Moses is Deuteronomy 16, 1 to 8. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verses 1 to 8. And then I'll give you a couple for New Testament as well. I guess I'm trying to keep it as a bridge as possible, yet as essential as possible. You can just write down Matthew 26. Matthew 26. Mark 14. Whole chapter. Mark 14. As well as Luke 22. So once again, Matthew 26, Mark 14, Luke 22. It's examples of Christ and the others, disciples, even with the people, our people. Us keeping the Passover and along with the Feast of Unleavened Bread, you find that in those chapters. And I like this one too. Acts chapter 20 and verse 6. Acts 20 and 6, which shows you that Paul and the apostles keeping the Feast of Unleavened Bread in the time of the Acts of the Apostles, which was after Christ died and rose. So why is that one important? Because if the law was nailed on the cross with Christ, including the holy days. While people may say, oh, that's nice that you keep those, but you don't have to do that anymore. Why were in the Acts of the Apostles, which clearly is after Christ died and rose, why are they still keeping Passover? If that's what Acts is about, them going out and teaching the gospel of Christ. Right? So use Acts 20 and 6 to show that they were still keeping the high holy days even after Christ rose. Okay. So reading on, Leviticus 23 and verse 9. Sorry. Okay. And good. Okay. So Leviticus 23 and 9, it says, and Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, verse 10, speaking to the children of Israel, and saying to them, when ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priests. So as far as the sheaf being brought forth of the first fruits, to show that this was going into the harvest of wheat, you can link with 23 and 10. You can link Exodus 23. Exodus 23. (16) and also 19. Once again, Exodus, you can link chapter 23, verse 16, and also verse 19. Also, you can link Exodus 34, chapter 34, verse 22, and also verse 26. It's going into the next major holiday, or the Feast of First Fruits, which you know is coming up in these summertime as the wheat harvest gets close to coming in. It hasn't come in already in some places. So reading on in verse 11, Leviticus 23:11, ye shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh. It's like a bundle of the wheat. You're supposed to wave it, right? Before Yahweh to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. Going into when you first begin to cut it, right? That you begin to cut that first wheat that comes up, it says, ye shall offer that day when you wave the sheep offering a lamb, rather an he lamb without blemish of the first year for a burnt offering unto Yahweh, right? So we're gonna do a burnt offering for starters when we first take that first piece of that first sheaf of wheat as it comes up. It says in 13, and the meat offerings thereof shall be 2/10 deal of fine flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto Yahweh for a sweet savor, and a drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the fourth part of an hin. Right? So the same offerings that we read about.
Read 22 last time.
Oh, right.
I know you was questioning last time about the Feast of the First Fruits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what we were going into.
This is in 23.
We're in 23 and verse 13. I'll read 13 again from the top. So Leviticus 23 and 13, it reads, and the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto Yahweh for a sweet savor. And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the fourth part of an hin. So it's going to a certain volume. You look up these different weights and measures. These are things that we would offer in the beginning when we first started to count the weeks. But like I said, so far we just started off with cutting or bringing a sheaf of the harvest as it first or initially came in. In verse 14, ye shall eat neither bread nor parched corn nor green ears until the same day ye have brought an offering into your power. It shall be a statute. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations and all your dwellings. So making sure that the Most High gets his just due first, hence the name of the first fruits. Right? So those fruits that came in first of this wheat harvest, you're supposed to give that first unto the Lord, to show your thanks, your appreciation, to acknowledge that he's responsible for everything, right? He's a reason why we wake up and go to sleep. He's the reason why we have food to eat, clothes on our back, a roof over our head, right? Land to dwell in. So hence to give him his just due. So from that time, I'll get cutting down those first fruits. It then tells you in verse 15, and ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. So now as that wheat harvest comes in, you're supposed to count 7 Sabbaths in that time going forward. Right? We're in that time right now as far as when most wheat harvests begin. We would have already brought in those sheaves around this time of May.
We started last Saturday night.
Kind of at least in North America. You check the charts typically.
Wherever you at, when the harvest come in, that's when you start. Okay.
Right.
So there could be different days for everybody.
Right. Like some places it may come in like, end of April, some early May, some middle May. Some as late as June, getting in the middle of June. So it depends. But now it says in 15, ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. So 7 Sabbaths, which means 7 weeks, right? Because we know every week is ended by the Sabbath. Just like today, we're in the Sabbath. So once the sun sets today, we'll begin another week. Verse 16. Before we go into 16, you just link this up with verse 15, 23, and 15. You link it with Deuteronomy chapter 16. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verses 9 to 12. 15. I guess you could say 15 and 16. Because as you read down, it's just going to go into the offerings that we did. You can link it with 15 and 16, both. Deuteronomy chapter 16, verses 9, 12. We also link Tobit. Tobit chapter 2 and verse 1. As well as Acts chapter 2 and verse 1. The last two links just showing where we kept the Feast of Weeks, or the Feast of First Fruits in the Apocrypha, as well as when we kept it in the New Time in the New Testament. Once again, after Christ rose, you see the people coming together still to keep the Feast of First Fruits, or as you'll see it mentioned in both Tobit and in Acts, the day of Pentecost. Pente, right, pertaining to the 50 days, because 7 Sabbaths, if you have 7 days in the week, times 7 weeks, that's 49 days. That following day is the 50th day. That's why in verse 16 it says, even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days. Right? That's where that Pentecost comes in. Ye shall offer a new meat offering unto your house. So it offerings when we first started counting, and at the end of the 50 days, we offer then too. Right? Reading on, it says in verse 17 rather, ye shall bring out of your habitation 2 wave loaves of 2/10 deal. They shall be of fine flour. They shall be baking with leaven. They are the first fruits unto Yahweh. Right? So more first fruits offered. Meat offering, of course, how to do it individually is specified in Leviticus chapter 2, as we already read. So oftentimes, what you'll see in Leviticus 1 through 7, mainly all of the breakdown of how all the different offerings were done. And then on major holy days, it would tell us, okay, do this many burnt offerings, do this many meat offerings, do this many drink offerings. So once you have the recipe, if you will, for each offering, and it's like, oh, okay, I know what to do for each holy day. So the priests will pretty much go through those motions. And every year they would always give those same types of offerings during these different holidays.
Some offerings, like the drink offering, you just throw that on the fire and burn that too?
Usually it was measured out, and then it depended. Usually it was offered like with whatever was offered, whatever other offering. It's usually like a complimentary offering, meaning it went with the say burnt offering, or went with like say the peace offering.
If I'm saying you would just take the wine and just dump it over the rest of the burnt offering and burn it.
Sometimes, other times I think the priests would actually eat it themselves. They would consume it themselves.
Oh.
They would use it to do something else, do something else with it.
Oh.
But you read in Leviticus, which we did already, it tells you, how to do it, what amount, and what you would do with it afterwards.
Oh.
But Leviticus 1 through 7 is like the foundation. Read those chapters. It goes into what all those different offerings are and what we did with them.
The first chapter to the second chapter.
Right. Each chapter, for the most part, except for chapter 7 and 6, but each chapter more so focuses on each one of those particular offerings. 6 and 7 kind of summarize the whole thing, kind of do like a review. Okay, so I'll read 17 again. Ye shall bring out of your habitations 2 wave loaves of 2/10 deal. It shall be of fine flour. It shall be baken with leaven. They are the first fruits unto your house. So when we talk about leaven, leaven isn't wicked. We just know it's not wicked. It's wicked when you eat it during the feast of unleavened bread. That's all. So certain offerings that we did have leaven in them. So don't just think, oh, leaven's just wrong or horrible, right? never eat leaven at all. No, it's just we didn't do it for that time, for that for a specific reason. Verse 18, and ye shall offer with the bread 7 lambs without blemish of the first year, and 1 young bullock, and 2 rams. They shall be for a burnt offering to Yahweh, with their meat offering and their drink offerings, even an offering made by fire of sweet savor unto Yahweh. Right? So, like you see here as an example, based on your question, they're like complementary. They kind of go with the 7 lambs, right? That were offered for a particular burnt offering, which is where it's utterly consumed, as opposed to say like a peace offering where they actually remove certain body parts of the animal, cook the rest on the altar, and the priest will partake in it. So it varies depending on the offering. And it says in 19, and ye shall sacrifice 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and 2 lambs of the first year for a sacrifice of peace offerings. Right? It says in 20, and the priest shall wave them with the bread of the first fruits for a wave offering before Yahweh with the 2 lambs. They shall be holy to Yahweh for the priest. He shall proclaim on the self same day that it may be an holy convocation unto you. Ye shall do no servile work therein. It shall be a statute forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. So that 50th day after that 7th Sabbath is considered a Sabbath too. So it's like 2 Sabbaths back to back after counting the 49 days. So 7 Sabbaths, and then sundown that Sabbath of the 7th week, keep that as a Sabbath as well, that particular day. You can also read the list of offerings that we gave during the Feast of First Fruits in Numbers. Numbers chapter 28. Numbers 28, 26 to 31. Numbers chapter 28, verses 26 to 31 for the first fruits offerings. You can write those down too. Okay. So, reading on in verse 22, when ye reap the harvest of your land, you shall not make clean riddance of the corners of thy field when thou reapest, neither shalt thou gather any gleaning of thy harvest. Thou shalt leave them unto the poor and to the stranger. I am Yahweh your power. So this is our food drive program. So it was built in the law to what? Make sure that any excess that you have, like say you actually have a land where you grow things, right? Whether it's a field or an orchard or a vineyard, right? As you load up your cart, whatever falls to the side, don't be getting every little bit and going, every little bit. It says whatever falls off to the side, it's like a natural progression. Most High knows what falls to the side. He hasn't happened that way for a reason. To where he says that for those who are, like it says, the poor and the stranger. So oftentimes these people don't have land, or don't have a particular land or inheritance they can call their own, right? Let them partake in that, right? So we took care of those who didn't have, didn't have means, or didn't have a, land to call their own they could use to, yield certain wealth. So, righteous food program, righteous food drive.
I guess here is somebody trying to go there and get the little scrapers and probably just arrest them.
That's what they do. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's spoiled.
What's that guy? I actually made a meme out of the thing. I think it was so funny, but I think it was in France somewhere. We had like a scuffle between, I guess, neighbors. They grew truffles. Truffles are like very expensive, right? But I think he ended up I think they charged him like a kind of manslaughter, because I think he might have killed the guy. He didn't know he did though, because because he suspected, I think he was going on his land and taking his truffles. And you see his face in the court proceedings. His face just said it all. Like, you shouldn't have touched my truffle, man. You shouldn't have messed with my truffles. After we get done, but maybe sure you guys I'll probably pull the article up, but ain't no gleaning on his field. But yeah, whatever fell to the side, I was supposed to go to the poor and to the stranger. The link with 22. The link of Leviticus 19. The link Leviticus chapter 19, verses 9 and 10. Or pretty much goes into the same thing. So enough to go around for everybody. It tells you, that the portion of the cease out of the land. Because of that, Mosai has this in play. So it's like a cycle thing. Even for the poor, they're supposed to be provided for according to the law by those who have. And for those that have to provide to those that don't, it doesn't put you out of the way, right? We see this conflict with these heathen empires when it comes to what role or how do we engage the poor, right? Do we help them? Do we, keep them from us? Because if we give them, an inch, they'll take a mile, Always this conflict back and forth about how to deal with the poor. And even the heathen in the world, they even come up with this wise saying. They say the measure of a government or an empire is measured by how they engage, how they treat their poor, right? You lot of these philosophers, come out like that, make statements like that. Y'all can?
Yeah, so we can't settle it like it's Amos 8 and 5, settle the refuge of the weak.
Cons, you want to link that? So what was it? Amos what?
Amos 8 and 5. No, 6.
You want to read that real loud?
Amos 8 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
That we may buy the poor for silver and the needy for a pair of shoes, yea, and sell the refuse of the weak.
Right. So that was the wicked Israelite mentality. And like you said earlier, Consumat, Mosai said, okay, you want to do this to each other? All right. I'm gonna have these people who are no people come into power and have them do it to you. Right? You want to deal with your brother with interest? Right? I told you not to. Now I'm gonna have heathen get on top of you, force you into labor, not pay you back, or claim to pay you back and not, and then have you get loans with them with interest. That's where we're at now, right? Getting credit cards, not reading the fine print, wondering, whoa, what happened to my interest rate? All because when we did have it, we abused that power, we abused that authority. So now they do it to us. So back to Leviticus 23 in verse 23. And Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, 24, speaking to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, ye shall have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets and holy convocation. So it's like a new moon. It's a 7th new moon, right? Which is, the heathen are confused, right? They so-called Jews, right? The so-called Ashkenazi Jews, so-called because the real Ashkenaz, they were actually Japheth, they're not even Esau at all. But the Jews from that region, so-called, they want to call this time of year Rosh Hashanah, which comes from the ancient Hebrew, that's Yiddish, but comes from the ancient Hebrew, Rosh Hashanah, which means the first of the year. But now, in the Torah, it makes it very clear that the beginnings of our months would be in the time of April, or in the month Abib, or in the Hebrew Abiyab, in the year. That's the first of the year. You don't ever read anywhere in the Torah or in the Torah where it says the first of the year would be in the harvest. It's not even the first of the year of the harvest. I can understand they said the first of the year, if it pertained to the harvest, they would attach it to maybe first fruits. If they did that, maybe we could maybe give them some credit. But the fact that they call the first of the year the memorial blowing the trumpets, that's weird. It's actually the end of the harvest year, and it's the middle of the Hebrew year. So in actuality, it's the middle of the Hebrew year, right? Because you got 6 more months to go, and it's typically technically the end of the harvest year. So it's like first of the year. Maybe somebody has an idea of where they get that from, but I don't know. Anyway, back to the scriptures. So to link with Leviticus 23 and 24, you can just write down Numbers 29. Numbers 29, verses 1 to 6, where it shows you the offerings we did during this memorial blowing the trumpets. And then you could also tack on these two other ones, Ezra 3 and 6, along with Nehemiah 8 and 2. Ezra 3 and 6, Nehemiah 8 and 2 goes into us keeping this memorial blowing of trumpets when we came out of the Persian captivity, as the Jews came back into Israel. They kept it during that time too, among the other high holy days. So it wasn't long and forgotten high holy day. We're still supposed to be keeping it now.
What is Numbers 29 and what?
1 to 6, which go into the offerings that we gave during that time. So now reading on Leviticus 23 and 26, and Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, verse 27, also on the 10th day of the 7th month, it shall be a day of atonement. It shall be a holy convocation unto you. You shall afflict your souls and offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. Right? So Day of Atonement, the day when we, as it says, afflicted our souls. Right? Which, you read the scriptures, we all know what it means to afflict our souls, right? To fast. How do we prove that? How do we know that afflicting our souls is referring to fasting? What verse do we go to prove that? Oh, you're thinking of that verse. I have another one altogether. But okay. You want to read yours first?
Oh, Isaiah 58 and 3. Wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not? Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge? Behold, in the day of your fast ye find pleasure and exact all your labors.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Afflicted our soul.
Right, and then what do we use to show what a fast is? Someone may say, yeah, I'm doing the Daniel fast right now. Yeah, I found a nice article going into the Daniel fast. Yeah. You know, I love my food options during my Daniel fast. Right? I lost so many pounds during my Daniel fast. But now what does scripture say a fast is? Anybody?
That's the for I guess
I was going to use the Ezra one for the afflict your soul. But
yeah.
What's the Esther one?
That's the chapter 4.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 15 and 16. Verse 15, well, verse 16.
Yeah. it.
Esther 4 and 16. Go, gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan. Fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise. So will I go unto the king, which is not according to the law. If I perish, I perish.
Right. So here it's made very clear that the fasting represents no food or drink, right, for 3 days. So sundown to sundown times 3. So that's what a fast is in the scriptures: no food or drink. Not what this world calls a fast, but actually is a diet. Or you have Islam; they do the Ramadan, right, where they don't do eat or drink during the day, but then they eat at night, right? Whereas in the law, we're supposed to do this Day of Atonement for a full day, sundown to sundown. So when they fasted, they did it from sundown to sundown. In this case, 3 days in a row. So no food or drink for 3 days. And then the other one, as far as afflict our souls, and then we can continue. But you can write down Ezra chapter 8. Ezra chapter 8 and verse 21. And I'll read this one real quick, and then we'll just pull the other link ups for Day of Atonement. Ezra chapter 8, verse 21, it says, Then I proclaimed a fast there at the river Hava, that we might afflict ourselves before our power, to seek of him a right way for us, and for our little ones, and for all our substance. See that? So they're afflicting themselves through this fast. That's the verse you use to show to fast is to afflict yourselves. You're not just saying, oh, you say it's a fast. I just say afflict yourselves. You know, you're adding to the scriptures. No, we can be justified in our sayings and overcome by going back to the word and knowing where to read. Everybody sees that? Afflicting yourselves, fasting, no food or drink. Con? Okay. Hope it's no uncertainty. Good. Got like 6 people here. So yeah. So you can link what we read in 23 in 27. Day of Atonement. You can link it with Leviticus 16. Leviticus chapter 16, verses 29 and 30. Leviticus chapter 16, verse 29 and 30. Also, you can link it with Leviticus 25 and 9. Leviticus 25 and 9 let you know that we did the Jubilee, which was like a grand year release we did every 50 years. Like I did the first fruits every 50, after 50 days. Every 50 years, according to the harvest, we would do a grand year release. We did a year release every 7 years, right? As far as debts being released, people that were indebted or worked for somebody, they would be allowed to go back to their land that they came from, whatever of their respective tribe. This is like a grand year release where we let the land rest for that entire year. We just lived off the excess of what we got during all those 7 years of rest that came the previous year and every 7 years that came before. Each of those 7 years that goes by, we're supposed to let the harvest rest. And then right before the 50th year, that 49th year, just the 48th year, we had enough food that would grow. Most High blessed the land where we would grow so much food, we would have enough for a 49th and a 50th year. So if that's not a walk of faith, I don't know what is. You know, like you read, we want to sell the refuse for wheat. Probably Israel wasn't even trying to wait on the Lord like that. They said, I don't want to, sit up. I want to eat it now. I want to sell it now. Most I said, no, just sit on it and then enjoy it. That way, those 2 years, you can let the land rest. Just like you need rest every 7th day, the land needs rest every 7 years and every 50th year. So relax, let it be. I'll take care of you. But Israel, I got a plan, right? Look how much I got. I want to get some more. Most it's like you're missing the point. I already have you. I gave you more already. I'll give you more in 2 years from now. Relax. Just enjoy what the land is yielded. But we'll go into this more in the Sabbath service. Sabbath service coming up when we go into Leviticus 25. We'll go into this in finer detail.
In the time of the manna, he said he'll give you twice the amount day.
Mm-hmm.
So the seventh day you don't have to go out there, and some people still went out.
Yep.
And looking around.
Yep. Oh boy.
Where is that?
Yeah. That's why Most High said, I think you read it last week, right, Khan Samak? You're going through Esdras. Jeremiah quoted that the land can now enjoy her Sabbaths. That's messed up. That prophecy is really messed up because it's like what the Most High is saying is like, yeah, my land can enjoy her Sabbaths now that you're out of there. You're supposed to be in there. I'm supposed to be blessing you with the land, the increase. But because you're so hard-headed, you're on punishment under the Babylonians and Persians. At least now the land can enjoy its rest, but without people there to even enjoy the fruits. It's like a, I don't say a slap in the face, but just like a get you to look at yourself like, oh man, that's pretty messed up. You know? So yeah, it's kind of like what they say in the world with Esau, you know, his technology. They say, yeah, we're polluting the earth, you know, global warming, this, that, and the third. At least when mankind is destroyed, you know, the earth will live on. You know, the earth will be just fine without us here to mess things up. And you know, they're right to a certain extent, but the understanding behind that comes with the understanding of the year of release and the understanding of the year of Jubilee and how it's supposed to work. Because that's how we don't corrupt the land. That's how we let the land rejuvenate on its own, instead of, you know, changing the soil to give it certain qualities, or trying to alter the plants, or be forced to go into hydroponics. You don't have to do all that. Not say those things are bad per se in themselves, but it's the motivation behind why, you know, the nations are going towards these methods now. It all goes back to them not dealing with the land right. They feel as though they have to artificially grow the stuff on their own and change it on their own and make it grow the way that they want. So trying to fix things physically when spiritually it's the problem of obedience. That's the root cause of the problems that are in the earth. But yeah. But to link with also with 27, you can write down Numbers. You can write down Numbers 29. Or 23 and 27. You write down Numbers 29, verses 7 to 11, which tells you the offerings we did during Day of Atonement. Also, you can write down Acts. Acts chapter 27 and verse 9, where you see Paul and the apostles, them keeping Day of Atonement. Once again, after Christ died and rose, right? Supposedly the law nailed on the cross with Christ, right? Christ died and rose. That was it. Just faith, no works, right? Just believe. Why is Paul keeping? It says they kept the fast. And when you read in the context, you know it's talking about that Day of Atonement. They kept that during the Acts of the Apostles. So it's like, and why do they call it the Acts of the Apostles? The things that they did. So if you're trying to be an apostle like them, maybe we should, who knows, do what they did. I don't know. Just a leap. Just taking a shot out, shot in the dark there, right? So yeah, they kept the Day of Atonement too, while under the grace of Christ. Because if anything, he would have, if you would have saw it, like, okay, he may have saw people keeping the fast and said, hey guys, don't worry about that. Just do this. And it was said going forward, they didn't keep it anymore. Or like you reading what Paul talking about how he would go into the synagogue Sabbath after Sabbath in these synagogues that were far away, right? In Corinth and Berea, right? Why would he go into why would he go in there Sabbath after Sabbath? anything, after he talked to them the first time, he would just say, look, you guys don't worry about, coming together on the Sabbath anymore, right? But why did he go in there Sabbath at the Sabbath? Because they were still keeping the Sabbath. They were just dealing with the grace of Christ with the law. That's the understanding. Faith and works. Yeah, not to make too much out of that, but that's it's one of those things that a lot of our people miss. Okay, so let's read on. Leviticus 23 and 28. And you shall do no work in that same day, for it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before Yahweh your power. Whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted in that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people, or put to death. 30. And whatsoever soul it be that doeth any work in that same day, the same soul shall I destroy from among his people. So it's supposed to be a Sabbath, and it's supposed to do serve out work either on that day. Right? We always place extra importance on that day. I know I can just say this from the short time I've been in the truth. Anyone who wasn't diligent on that time of Day of Atonement, right? Or reach out to the brother, the sister, and you tell them, oh, we're keeping the Day of Atonement, right? And they say, oh man, like they didn't find out, or they knew and it slipped their mind. We say, hey, we didn't see, for the service, what's going on? They said, oh man, I'm at my significant other's place, and we just, she made a cake, and I had some. I remember one person, they told us that, we were just like, wow. Sure enough, next same time next year, that person was no longer in the truth. I'm telling you, man, they are serious. Serious business. I want to tell Khan Samak. He shared his story, right? Coming into the truth the day before. Wow. Of all times of coming to truth, right? And you always tell that story. You stuck it out. Of course, you didn't have the spirit behind it yet. You just newly found out. But at least you heard it. You were like, oh, wow, that's what they're supposed to do? Let me try. And Most High saw that. Even in your ignorance, he saw it. You were willing to try. He said, okay, got myself on here. Let's deal with him, build him up. And all praise the Most High. He's still with us to this day. Still walking, still talking Christ. All right. So yeah, Day of Atonement. It says in verse 31, you should do no manner of work, it shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, all your dwellings. It shall be to you a Sabbath of rest. You shall afflict your souls. We already went into what that means. In the 9th day of the month at even, from even unto even shall you celebrate your Sabbath. We're going into keeping it a whole day, right? From sundown to sundown, because we know sundown is when the day begins and when the day ends. Sundown is when the day stops and when the new day begins. Telling us how long we're supposed to keep this Day of Atonement, in case we're wondering. Of course, it shouldn't be too strange, right? Because the thing is called Day of Atonement, so we should think, okay, keep it for a day. Makes sense? So Leviticus 23 and 33, this last section is pretty much dealing with the Feast of Tabernacles. So it says, and Yahweh spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of this 7th month shall be a Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto Yahweh. Right? It's not going into the Feast of Tabernacles being the high holy day that we keep also in the 7th month. But now this one's starting on the 15th day of that month, or the middle of that month, or around the middle of the month. But as far as links for verse 34 and pretty much this whole section, you can write down Deuteronomy chapter 16.
This is for 33.
34. But really the whole section, but you can just write 34. everything from here out is going to be mainly focusing on tabernacles for the rest of this chapter. But yeah, Deuteronomy chapter 16, 13 to 15. This goes into the Feast of Tabernacles details. Also, you can write down Deuteronomy 31, 9 to 13 as well. Deuteronomy 31, verses 9 to 13.
What was 16? What was 16?
13 to 15. And as far as the offerings that we did each day for this, Numbers chapter 29, verses 12 all the way to 40. You read it in Numbers 29, it's like, goes like all the way down. First day you give this, second day you do this, third day you do that. It tells each day what you're supposed to offer during this Feast of Tabernacles. Because it's supposed to be the the most plentiest time of the year, right? Where you get all of your increase during this time, because you're getting close to the fall. When you're in the fall, you're getting close to the winter now, where there's not as many things grow at that point. So you're supposed to give the Most High his just due, and then the rest you're supposed to, store up for the the cold winter ahead. So gathering in the rest of what the Most High has blessed you with out of the field. Anything else beyond that is going to be, hunting, right? And then you have to get your field ready, or your orchard, or your vineyard ready, till the warm season comes back again. So, plant the seeds and turn the soil and do all those things, all the particulars. Goddamn plow, right? What did Solomon say? He said, the sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold, right? Therefore will he beg and harvest and have nothing. Right? Because it's cold. I was like, I don't want to go out there, it's too cold, Ooh. While his neighbors getting the soil ready, right? But in time when the spring and the summer comes in, the neighbor who tilled his soil, he or she, they're good to go. Whereas the person who didn't do that, what are they doing? Going door to door, knocking. Hey brother, hey sister, can I can I have? As opposed to being able to yield for themselves. So yeah, living off the land definitely it gives you a different relationship when it comes to work, and the role that work plays. And many of our people that still work in the field now, even to these, even now, it's just it's not as a popular thing, right? But it's still there. You still need somebody doing it. Even with even over here in this part of the world, you got our people doing it, or you got people using tractors or different machines to do it, right? To where one person in a tractor, right? He can do they said a man can feed a family of 4, right? As a farmer, him and his ox, he could feed a family of 4, whereas a man with a tractor, he could feed 56. That's that ratio. And that was that was back in the 80s. So now with the technology, it's probably even less farmers to get more yield.
Industrial age.
Industrial age and the information age not helping the industrial age, because now they're using data analysis and going, okay, we tilled it around this time. We use this kind of pesticide. We planted it this deep. We use this composition, right, of soil. Let's tweak it and see what the effects are, right? Then information age is even helping the industrial age become more, efficient, right?
Better tools.
Or having more information about what to do with your tools. That's what the information age comes in. That's the knowledge shall be increased. That's why everything they talk about is big data this, big data that, right? Data analysis, right? That's what Daniel was talking about in chapter 12.
They can help you know what's going on and what comes in. Right.
data analysis, statistics, all that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the locusts don't come and wipe out. Sometimes locusts come and wipe out the whole crop.
Yeah. We got something for that locust now. We put something in the plants. When the locusts eat it, they go. But what else does it do to that plant, right? That's the problem. Saw one problem, he created other ones. Oh boy. Brave new world, right?
And for the devour, at the like most I say like in Malachi, like keep the devour, So you got like storage of grains and stuff like that. You don't have like mice going up and then rats going up and eat it up, or worms. Protect your crops.
Right. So you can tack these verses on too. You write down John chapter 7. You see Christ kept the Feast of Tabernacles. The story within that was going on during the Feast of Tabernacles in John chapter 7. And then also you can write down Zechariah chapter 14, 16 through 19, which talks about future prophecy, something that hasn't happened yet. How in the kingdom, when the nations don't come to keep the Feast of Tabernacles, they don't bring their offering to Yahweh, so they're not going to get any rain. It's going to be their judgment in the kingdom going forward. So let you know that this is not some passe. Oh, that was back then. The Feast of Tabernacles is now and forever. In the future, we're going to be keeping it.
Don't have those spoilers.
Yeah, exactly.
Animals died too.
Yeah, because the animals need the land also. Let's read on in Leviticus 23. It says 35. On the first day shall be an holy convocation, ye shall do no servile work therein. 36. 7 days ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. On the 8th day shall be an holy convocation unto you. Ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh. It is a solemn assembly, and ye shall do no servile work therein. Right? So there's a day of rest at the end of those 7 days, the 8th day we keep. Right? A holy convocation or a holy gathering. Right? And then you could just link this to, just write down St. John chapter 7. You can write verse 36, or within that chapter 7 and verse 36, it talks about the last day of the Feast of Tabernacles. Something happened during that time of the last day of the Feast of Tabernacles. So showing they kept it the same way even in the time of Christ. So, yeah. So link with verse 36, John chapter 7 and verse 36. And now reading on in verse 37, Leviticus 23:37, says, these are the feasts of Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh, a burnt offering, and a meat offering, a sacrifice, and drink offerings, everything upon his day. Which you already pulled scriptures for those that go into what those are in Numbers. Besides the Sabbath of the Lord, and besides your gifts, and besides all your vows, and beside all your freewill offerings, which ye give unto Yahweh. Also in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto Yahweh 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. Ye shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook. Ye shall rejoice before Yahweh your power 7 days. Right? So going into us taking the strong, heavy branches, right? What we're doing is we're making like makeshift tents. That's why it's called the Feast of Tabernacles, or in the Hebrew, Sukkot, which means tent. Or you'll see the Yiddish, they say Sukkot. See on certain calendars, Sukkot. What is it, Sukkot? What is that? It comes from the Hebrew Sakwa. So yeah, the Feast of Tents, or the Feast of Tabernacles, same thing. So we would make them with the branches and dwell in them, because the whole idea was the Most High, now He dwells with us. We're not under Egypt's tabernacle anymore. We're under the Most High's tabernacle, and we have become His tabernacle, right? And it's High Holidays is a key reminder of that we are His dwelling and He dwells in us, and we in Him. It says in verse 41, "You shall keep it a feast unto Yahweh 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generations. You shall celebrate it in the 7th month. You shall dwell in booths 7 days. All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths." Right? Then it says, I want to get that. Yeah. You can link that with 42. Sure. It'll be the last link. So 23 and 42. Skipped it earlier, but you can read it. Go to Nehemiah. Nehemiah chapter 8. Nehemiah chapter 8 and verse 14. Write it down. Link it with verse 43. I'm sorry, verse 42. So Nehemiah chapter 8. When we came out of the Persian captivity, it says on the second day we're gathered together. This is Nehemiah 8. I'm starting from I'll start from 13 and read down to 15. Actually, I'll read 13 all the way to the end. Might as well. So Nehemiah 8, 13 down to 17. It reads, Nehemiah 8 and 13, "And on the second day they were gathered together, the chief of the fathers of all the people, the priests, the Levites, and Ezra, unto Ezra the scribe, even to understand the words of the law. And they found written the law which Yahweh had commanded by Moses, that the children of Israel should dwell in booths in the feast of the 7th month," the same high holy day, "that they should publish and proclaim in all their cities and in Jerusalem, saying, Go forth into the mount, fetch olive branches and pine branches and myrtle branches and palm branches and branches of fig trees to make booths, as it is written." So people went forth and brought them and made themselves booths, every one upon the roof of his house, and in their courts, and the courts of the house of power, and in the street of the water gate, and in the street of the gate of Ephraim. And all the congregation of them that were come again out of the captivity made booths and sat under the booths. For since the days of Jeshua, son of Nun, or Joshua, unto that day had not the children of Israel done so. And there was very great gladness. Also day by day, from the first day unto the last day, he read in the book of the law of power. And they kept the feast 7 days, and on the 8th day was a solemn assembly, according unto the manner. Then reinstituting the Feast of Tabernacles when they came back into Israel after the Babylonian and then Persian captivity. It's kind of like what you read about in Ezra, right? It said they hadn't kept a Passover since like how Joshua kept it. This is going back to Joshua here too. I should say Josiah's Passover was like they haven't kept since the days of Samuel, right? It's going to they didn't keep this like this, like since they did during the time of Joshua.
Imagine if you could down.
Oh man,
Big Passover.
Big tabernacles, big everything.
Yeah.
Leviticus 24 and 42 again. You shall dwell in booths 7 days. all that the Israelites born shall dwell in booths, that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh your power. And Moses declared unto the children of Israel the feast of the Lord. So, there you have it. Okay, so make an end here. So remember, for next week, our reading is going to be Matthew 22 and 23. Once again, Matthew 22 and 23 is going to be our reading next week. And of course, before then, we'll have the classes during the week, Most High as well. So with that, we'll say Ashar Shabbat, or Happy Sabbath. Hope everyone was edified with the lesson today. Have a blessed Sabbath, the rest of the Sabbath day. And with that, we'll do the closing prayers. Stay in the spirit, everyone. Shalom. Barakateh Yahweh, Ba'ashemi Hawashai, Asheran, Tananawa, Paya, Gapin, Tuara, Amma. Oops. Fast forward. Slow down. Take my time. The water. Can you abide with me for just a few? What did he say? What did Yahweh say? And he was like, rest now, for my time is at hand. When they came, all the disciples were up there. Oh boy. God forgive us. Rakati Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Asheran Tananaw Poya Gapin Tuara Aman. Like Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ath Yashar. English translation. Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives to us the fruit of the vine. Thank you, so be it. To Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, with Israel. Amagwa, Panyua Yerushalayim, stand and face Jerusalem. Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Yahushua,
Babakushai,
Yahushua,
Shemai,
Shammai,
Lanawa,
Lanawa,
Aitha,
Aitha,
Yamyan,
Yamyan,
Aitha,
Aitha,
Shalak, Ma'aka Allah,
Ma'aka Allah,
Waha Allahayim,
Wa'alahayim,
Tazwadakim,
Tazwadakim,
La,
La,
Shamar Ayel,
Shema'ayim,
Barak,
Barak,
Rapah,
Rapah,
Magan,
Magan,
Wa Chazayak,
Wa'akaziyak,
Banya,
Banya,
Yasha Allah,
Yasha'Allah,
Wa Shalak,
Wa'shalak,
Lanawa,
Lanawa,
Rabiim,
Rabiim,
Kakama,
Kakama,
Rabiim,
Rabiim,
Da'aif,
Da'ai,
Rabiim,
Rabiim,
Bayana,
Bayana,
Rabiim,
Rabiim,
Sabalanwa,
Sabalanwa,
Rabiim,
Rabiim,
Amawan,
Amawan,
Rabiim,
Rabiim,
Aqua,
Aqua,
Rabiim,
Rabiim,
Ahabiim,
Ahabiim,
Rabiim,
Rabiim,
Haganah,
Haganah,
Rochanaya,
Rochanaya,
Wasalak,
Wasalak,
Ko,
Ko,
Katayamnawa,
Watayamna,
La Akim,
La'akim,
Wa Akiwa,
Wa'akiwa,
Wayasha'ala,
Wayasha'Allah,
Thamyad,
Thamyad,
Waiwalam,
Wa'alam,
Ba'ashem,
Ba'ashem,
Yahawasha,
Yahushua,
Thawada,
Tawada,
Aman.
Aman.
English translation, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, please listen to us now, right now. Send Mike on the righteous powers to watch over, bless, heal, protect, and make strong the children of Israel. And send to us much wisdom, much knowledge, much understanding, much patience, much faith, much brotherhood, much love, much spiritual protection, and forgive all our sins. For the brothers, sisters in Israel, always and forever, in the name of Yahweh Shai, thank you, so be it. Four Corners Prayer. Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Barak Nawa, Wayasha Allah, Wabathya Saparim, Shema, Yasharallah, Yahweh, Allah Yahweh, Yahweh, Akhay. English translation, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, bless us in Israel in the house of books. And then we said, Hear, Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. So once again, we'll say a Shar Shabbat, happy Sabbath. Have a blessed rest of the Sabbath. We'll be talking to you in the upcoming week on the class and the Sabbath to come. So, Shalom, Israel, stay in the spirit.